Did you know? Star Wars Battlefront 2 was originally a multiplayer exclusive title and had a mere 1-year development cycle. Partway through production, however, new executives joined Lucasarts. They were worried that a multiplayer-only title wouldn't sell and insisted that the game have a single-player campaign. When the team explained that they couldn't do this with their current budget or timetable, they were told to just, quote, figure it out. Battlefront 2's director nearly had a nervous breakdown towards the end of production, but the team successfully completed both modes on time. Battlefront 2 sold well, but a sequel to the game lingered in development for years. Eventually, LucasArts approached developer Free Radical to work on the title. Free Radical's vision for Battlefront 3 was ambitious and saw players transition seamlessly from ground warfare to space battles. They struggled for 2 years to try to get this title working. Development took so long that the art team began designing assets for a potential Battlefront 4 before 3 was even near completion. Despite these troubles, however, LucasArts thought highly of the game. One former LucasArts employee remembered, "We kept getting these code drops that were amazing. We thought Battlefront 3 was going to turn the industry on its head." Free Radical was meeting all of their milestones. Even LucasArts president Jim Ward would sit in these core meetings and would say things like, "So this is shipping next month, right?" However, Free Radical began hitting roadblocks and missing milestones in early 2008. Their design documents called for 100 player matches, but the game would slow down with just 20. The company cut the projected 100 players down to just 50, and greatly reduced the single-player campaign in scope. Regardless, it became apparent to LucasArts that Free Radical wasn't going to make their projected release date for Battlefront 3. One former employee speculated, "Internally, because this was right when Haze was shipping, we were all certain that they had pulled tons of resources off Battlefront to finish up Haze, and they wouldn't tell us what was going on. We tried to get our producers over there and they wouldn't let us into the building. The relationship just started fraying." Around this time, Daryl Rodriguez was appointed the president of LucasArts and began pushing Free Radical even harder. This further strained the relationship between the two companies. Free Radical audio director Graham Norgate stated, "LucasArts hadn't paid us for 6 months, and were refusing to pass a milestone so we'd limp along until the money finally ran out. They knew what they were doing." Eventually, LucasArts officially cut ties with Free Radical, and their vision for Battlefront 3 was scrapped. Free Radical co-founder Steve Ellis commented that the development on the title was 99% complete, and just needed bug fixing for release. Battlefront 3 wasn't the only Star Wars game that got stuck in development purgatory. Other games included a Call of Duty-style shooter called Furst Assault. There were also 2 different attempts to continue the Jedi Knight series titled Brink of Darkness and Jedi Master. Imperial Commando was a planned sequel to Republic Commando, and there was going to be a Knights of the Old Republic 3, though no one at LucasArts remembered why it was cancelled. A game that focused on Darth Maul titled Battle of the Sith Lords was in development at Red Fly Studios in 2010. The project began as a collaboration between LucasArts and Nintendo to bring an exclusive series to Nintendo systems. Red Fly envisioned the game as a stealth-oriented action title in the vein of the Arkham Asylum games, and wanted to focus on Maul's origin story. This iteration never made it past the conception phase, as LucasArts wanted the game to tie in with an upcoming Maul-centered storyline in the Clone Wars animated series. Eventually, Star Wars creator George Lucas became interested in the project and personally met with Red Fly. Before the developers could even finish their pitch, however, Lucas interrupted them after noticing figurines of Maul and the extended universe character Darth Talon. One source told Game Informer, "Lucas cut them off, stood up, walked over to the statues, rotated them to be facing the same direction, pushed them together and said, 'They're friends.' He wanted these characters to be friends and to play off each other." When someone pointed out that Maul and Talon existed nearly 170 years apart from each other in the Star Wars canon, Lucas brushed the problem off and said the main character could just be a descendant or clone of Maul instead. Red Fly struggled with the project for several months, creating prototypes for the game, but LucasArts refused to sign off on any of the team's larger ideas. Eventually, the publisher flew out several members of the Red Fly team to their campus in San Francisco for a boot camp on prototyping, hoping to give the project a clearer direction. Afterwards, progress on the title was made and the two companies grew very close. There were even rumors at the Red Fly offices that suggested LucasArts wanted to buy the company. However, in mid-2011, communication from LucasArts abruptly stopped. One one ex-Red Fly employee remembered, "We didn't hear from them for 2 weeks. No word, nothing. And when I say no word, I mean nothing. We did manage to get some of the guys, the internal producers that were on our project, on Skype, and they looked like they were kicked in the nuts. We knew what was going on, they just couldn't tell us." In June of 2011, the project was officially cancelled. No one at Red Fly was told why development ended, though several ex-staff members believe it relates to Lucas selling his company to Disney. During a Reddit AMA in October 2015, CEO and creative director of Red Fly Studio Dan Borth spoke about the cancelled Maul game. He stated that Red Fly are attempting to resurrect the Darth Maul project, and are hoping to prototype a demo of the game to EA. For years, Lucasfilm planned to produce a live-action television series called Star Wars Underworld, and LucasArts were commissioned to make a tie-in video game. Development on the project moved swiftly, but hit trouble when the TV show was delayed. George Lucas later took an interest in the game and became heavily involved with it. He suggested the team make the protagonist a bounty hunter and an original character, which they embraced. However, his involvement also caused numerous problems. Development was often derailed when Lucas changed his mind or shifted the direction of the production. Eventually, he decided that the protagonist should be Boba Fett instead of a new character, and the team had no chance to create Boba Fett assets before the title was announced at E3 2012 as Star Wars 1313. They even had to lie when fans guessed that Boba Fett was the game's protagonist. Changes in leadership at LucasArts later caused development of 1313 to slow, and the team began missing milestones with their limited workforce. Like Battle of the Sith Lords, 1313 was eventually cancelled after Disney bought Lucasfilm and closed LucasArts. Lucas was also heavily involved with other games in the franchise. He met with the team behind Star Wars The Force Unleashed periodically throughout its 4-year development cycle. He also personally approved of all of the game's story elements, including the name of Vader's secret apprentice. LucasArts only intended Starkiller to be a nickname or call sign, and wished to give the apprentice a proper Sith title. Lucas agreed and offered the names Darth Insanius and Darth Icky. One Force Unleashed developer remembered, "There was a pregnant pause in the room after that. People waiting for George to say, 'just kidding,' but it never comes and he just moved on to another point." Neither title ended up being used. The Force Unleashed was a hit for LucasArts, but the team worked on concepts and demos for The Force Unleashed 2 for nearly a year before receiving a green light. In 2009, Lucasfilm wanted the developer to make a sequel in just a year. The team at LucasArts insisted that they need 2, stating that a 1-year turnaround would result in a 6-hour game that would probably score a 60. Lucasfilm refused to give them any more time, and the Metacritic review score for The Force Unleashed 2 ended up at 61 out of 100. That's not all though. Did you know that the clay cast for Jabba the Hutt was so big that they couldn't fit it into any oven? So they converted an entire room at Industrial Light and Magic into a walk-in oven to bake it? Click on the annotation or the link in the description for more Star Wars facts over at Did You Know Movies. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That stuff really does help. And hey, my name's Lee. I just did a video over at Arcadia talking about my experiences with Star Wars. You know, why I love the movies and everything else that's connected to it. The shows, the toys, everything. I love it. So if you want to see that, click the annotation right here.